the emotional affair that shattered everything without a single touch. The weight of it rests here, just below my ribs, a constant dull ache that sometimes flares into a sharp, breathless pang. He sleeps beside me, steady and warm, his breathing soft and even in the quiet dark. He's utterly unaware of the landscape of my betrayal, the secret garden I cultivated in the fertile ground of my own unmet needs and misplaced desires. And the worst part? It wasn't physical. No clandestine hotel rooms, no hurried fumbling in parked cars. Just words. Just feelings. And somehow, that feels even dirtier, a deeper violation of the invisible trust that held us together. My name is Sarah. I'm 31 years old, living in a brownstone apartment in a busy city with my husband Tom. We've been married for 5 years, together for 8. Our life is, on the surface, a good one. Comfortable. Predictable. We have our routines, our shared jokes, our lazy Sunday mornings. We talk about our days, about bills, about future plans that stretch out ahead of us, a clear, well-lit path. We say I love you before bed and kiss each other goodbye in the morning, but somewhere along that well-lit path, the light had dimmed for me. Not gone out, not even close, but the vibrant colors had faded to pastels. Tom is kind, reliable, good. He's everything he promised to be. The problem wasn't him. The problem, I now see with devastating clarity, was me. Or maybe it was us, settling into a comfortable silence where conversation used to be. The deep dives into fears and dreams became shallower, replaced by logistical updates. The feeling of being seen, truly understood, felt like a distant memory, a relic of our dating days. I felt lonely within my own partnership. A strange, isolating kind of loneliness that's hard to articulate without sounding ungrateful. That's where Daniel entered the picture. He joined our team at work about a year ago. He was different. Quieter than most. Observant. He had this way of looking at you when you spoke, like he was genuinely absorbing every word. We were assigned to a project together, which meant long hours, shared lunches, and countless emails bouncing back and forth. It started innocently enough, as these things always do, or so I tell myself now to soften the edges of my culpability. Shared complaints about project deadlines, eye rolls across the conference table. Then, it was discovering a shared love for obscure indie bands, trading recommendations. Lunch breaks stretched longer, as we found ourselves talking about everything but work, our childhoods, our frustrations, the books we were reading. He listened intently when I talked about feeling stuck, professionally and personally. He didn't offer platitudes or try to fix it. He just listened. And he shared his own vulnerabilities, his own doubts and anxieties about navigating his early 30s. There was a magnetic pull, a sense of ease I hadn't felt in a long time. The office became less of a chore and more of a place I looked forward to being. My step was lighter walking in on Mondays. My phone, usually just a tool, became a potential source of a small thrill, the little notification that meant a message from him. The shift from colleague to something more was so subtle, a gradual blurring of lines I barely noticed until I was standing firmly on the other side. The emails became more personal, drifting into weekend plans and private thoughts. We started texting outside of work hours. Late at night, after Tom had fallen asleep beside me, his presence a warm anchor I felt increasingly guilty for trying to drift away from, I would unlock my phone. Daniel's name would be there, a notification casting a soft glow in the dark room. Our texts weren't explicit, not in the beginning, but they were intimate in a way that felt fundamentally dishonest to my life with Tom. We'd talk about the things that gnawed at us, the quiet fears we didn't voice to others. He'd remember small details I'd mentioned weeks ago, bringing them up in conversation. A sign of his dedicated attention that made my heart flutter in a way it hadn't fluttered for Tom in ages. He'd ask me questions about my dreams, my real ambitions, not just the surface-level stuff you talk about at dinner parties. And I'd answer him, opening parts of myself that felt locked away, even from myself. The temptation was a slow burn, intertwined with the comfort and connection. It wasn't a sudden, overpowering wave of lust in the traditional sense. It was a craving for the feeling he gave me, the feeling of being seen, valued, interesting. The validation was potent, addictive. He complimented my mind, my perspective, my humor. Things I felt had become invisible in the comfortable routine of my marriage. There was a growing physical attraction too, undeniable, a low hum beneath the surface of our easy conversations. A shared glance that lingered a moment too long, a brush of hands exchanging a document that sent a tiny jolt up my arm. The scent of his cologne when he leaned in to show me something on his screen, clean and subtly masculine. The guilt was a constant shadow, a stone in my shoe with every step I took further down this path. It was a physical sensation, a tightening in my chest, a sour taste in my mouth whenever Tom would do something kind or say something sweet. I'd look at him, this good man who loved me and trusted me implicitly, and the shame would wash over me. I was living a double life, compartmentalizing my heart and mind. One part was present with Tom, going through the motions of our shared life. The other part was constantly anticipating Daniel, replaying our conversations, crafting messages in my head. I remember one specific evening vividly. It was late, past 11 p.m. Tom was asleep. Daniel and I were texting about a difficult day I'd had. I'd been feeling overwhelmed, on the verge of tears at work, but holding it together. I hadn't really mentioned the depth of my distress to Tom, just a tough day, but I poured it all out to Daniel in a stream of late-night texts, the frustration, the self-doubt, the crushing weight of expectation I felt. And he responded not with advice, but with empathy. He recounted a similar experience he'd had, not to one-up me, but to show he understood. He told me I was strong, capable, resilient, words I desperately needed to hear, and words I realized I hadn't sought from Tom. Maybe because I didn't know how anymore, or maybe because I feared the conversation wouldn't go this deep. As I read his messages, teary-eyed in the dim light of my phone screen, a profound sense of connection washed over me. It felt like he was right there with me, truly understanding the ache in my chest. In that moment, curled up in bed next to my sleeping husband, I felt closer to Daniel than I did to the man whose ring was on my finger. That was the moment the guilt became unbearable. It hit me with the force of a physical blow. This wasn't just friendly banter. This wasn't just venting to a colleague. This was emotional intimacy, a deep connection I was nurturing in secret. I was sharing my innermost self with another man, seeking his validation and comfort, effectively replacing the emotional role my husband should have been filling. It was a betrayal of the heart, a slow, insidious infidelity that felt just as destructive as any physical act. The temptation didn't vanish, not immediately. There were still the quickened pulses, the anticipation. But now, it was tainted. Every message from Daniel brought a fresh wave of shame. Every kind word from Tom felt like a dagger of self-reproach. The conversations with Daniel continued, but the context had changed for me. The innocent bubble had burst. I saw the danger clearly now, the slippery slope I had slid down almost without realizing. We haven't stopped talking, not entirely. The project still ties us together, and cutting him off abruptly would raise questions, make the secret even louder in its silence. But the late-night texts have stopped. The intensely personal sharing has tapered off. When we talk now, there's a new awkwardness, a recognition of the unspoken boundary we skirted, maybe even crossed. He doesn't know the full extent of my internal turmoil, the crisis this emotional affair has triggered in my soul. He probably just feels a shift, a pulling back, and maybe he feels the loss of that connection too. Confessing this feels like peeling off a layer of skin. It's raw and painful. I haven't told Tom. How could I? How do you explain that you gave away parts of your emotional landscape to someone else? That you sought comfort and understanding outside the confines of your marriage, not because your husband was cruel or neglectful, but because you felt something was missing and you were weak enough or selfish enough to find it elsewhere. The guilt is a constant companion now. It sits with me at the dinner table. It lies between us in bed. It whispers to me while I'm at work, even when Daniel isn't around. I look at Tom, at the comfortable life we've built, and I see not only what I risk losing, but what I've already damaged. The foundation of our trust, unseen but crucial, has cracks running through it, put there by my own hands. One shared confidence, one late-night text, one longing for connection at a time. There's no neat ending to this confession. No grand resolution or clear path forward. I'm left sitting here, holding the pieces of my own making, grappling with the knowledge that I betrayed the man I love without ever laying a hand on someone else. The emotional affair felt intoxicatingly real while it was happening, a vibrant splash of color in a world that felt muted. Now, looking back, it feels like a mirage that dehydrated my soul, leaving me emptier and burdened by a secret that weighs more than any physical transgression could. And the hardest part is living with the knowledge that I did this, that I allowed myself to drift, and that the consequences, emotional and potentially marital, are far from over.